All right, welcome you guys to Investor Central Club's Stacks. If you guys are just joining us here in our live stream, go ahead and comment Stacks in the channel. Let us know that you're here. And also, just because today we don't have too many earnings to go over, let us know if there's anything you want us to go over. Are there any stacks prints that you want us to see? Are there any sort of tickers that you want us to chart? Let's get that in there early so that we can make sure we have some time for that today. Max will be joining us in just a bit, so just hold on tight. What I do want to do to get us started off with is we do have some earnings coming up. The most important one I want to point out for you guys right now is that Delta Airlines will be reporting on Thursday morning. That seems to be the biggest one. We also got Levi's at close, so when Max does join us, we'll try to get you guys some additional information about that. But just to start off, that's what I do have on our stacks right now is Delta Airlines. And as of yesterday, this is what I saw yesterday, was we had a very bullish flow up, going up to it. You can see we've got these two, the 4.26 million and the 2.1 million for September 19th. Purchased 14,000, almost 14,000 contracts here, little under 7,000 here. And that's only a 5% expected move, but we'll, quick look at that too. They got in at $49.60. As of right now, we're looking at $50.59. So it's already up just a little bit, all right? The two unusual puts that we do see here in blue, Delta Airlines, we got these. These are much shorter dated. So, we'll talk to Max and see what his expectations are, what he sees on this. But these are two that we definitely want to, consider. Right under 5,000 contracts for the 45 puts, and the $40 puts, 10,000 contracts, which is quite a bit there too. Combined, they've spent just under $1 million total, and those are some pretty large expected moves when you consider it. Let's go into our charts real quick so I can show you guys what I see. And basically what we have here is we've got a giant bull flag. But the thing here that we need to remind ourselves is, if you consider where we are in terms of these touch points, there are the higher end of it, where if you go with the very top right here, and we've rejected from those so far, okay? The good thing to consider is that we are above this giant point of control, the POC as some people call it. The thing though as well is that we are starting to trade a little bit below the upper end of this, so a rejection could be possible. I would not be surprised to see this probably take some liquidity down below before it does head up further. It does seem to be pretty strong in terms of where it's at. You can also consider back in April when we had all the tariff news and the big drop down here. We are currently up from that position as much as a little over 50% on Delta Airlines when you consider it. If you consider up till now, that's but 48% right there. So Delta Airlines has run up quite a bit. The question is earnings going to make it reject here, or is it going to make it pop up further? Does it break out above this bull flag that we see, or does it come back down? So our unusual prints say it's going to come back down, and they've aimed as far as $40 down here in the short term too. So consider those are just for the beginning of next month. However, the long term, the big money prints that we see, the millions of dollars being spent, says we're aiming for above this flag, headed up toward. And what I have in blue here is a gap from previous. Let me show you that. There's a big giant gap. It did fill already in terms of that. So let's go look at the closer end. If I were to redraw this gap for us here, let me redo it. There is some gaps up here that we could be attacking soon. So it did drop pretty quickly in terms of all that bad news, and that's where we're at this point. So consider that. You tell me, what do you think is going to happen? Delta Airlines, do you want it bullish? Do you want it bearish? Let me know in the comments, and we can discuss that a little bit. On the other hand, I know a lot of you guys are here because I promised to go over our Stacks AI prints. So let's jump into that while we wait for Max, so we can talk a little bit about what's going on there. I'm going to minimize my... let's just make it smaller. That way you guys see a little bit more. I'll put myself on the left side for now. Okay, so Stacks AI. A lot of you guys have been following us for quite some time. Just so you guys understand, Stacks AI, we've been back testing this for 23, almost 24 months now. So there's a lot of data for us to go over here. I'm always doing my best to evolve this and try to make it better. One of the things that I most recently did was I figured out I could color code these boxes according to what the certain conditions are. So just so you know, let's start on the left side. Google Finance on our spreadsheet allows us to not only get the spark line, so we have two spark lines on the left. The left one is from where I calculate the highs, just for me to get a quick idea of if the print's gone higher or if they've gone lower, so I can do a quick view of, okay, for example, this one right here, DKS, Dick's Sporting Goods, has gone higher since I checked the print on the 1st. So that's just a quick way for me to do back testing here to get an idea of whether or not I need to update anything. The one on the right is the overall spark line. So this is from when the purchase of that option came in to what today is. So for example, you can see here MRK is up overall. Let me actually make this bigger for you guys too. Hope that's a little bit better. MRK here is up overall on that spark line. For something like this, BABA, you'll see BABA from the top left to the bottom right has gone down. And Google Finance does a great job of helping us get quick overlooks as to what's going on with the ticker. So the spot price right here is what they purchased that option at. Google Finance will pull today's price, so that's what it says right here, pulling up the ticker and the price for exactly today and what the spot change is overall. And what I've been able to do now is if it's within, let me double check real quick, if it's within 10% of a change, it's going to be in a light red. If it's within 10% of a change positively, it's going to be in light green. And then anything above or below is going to be in the solid color. So you can see for the last month, just our month of June, we have these 6 prints that we have. Right now, Meta is the only one that is actually currently down as of today. And I will also point out too, in terms of the option returns, the most recent months, what we've calculated here is anything that is under a 15% return is considered a wash so far. So only above 15% will be considered genuine wins on our side of this back testing. In addition, what we have here on the right side is the days to high. You'll notice if it's only a 1 or 2 days to high, generally that, to me, what that means is that the stock or the option contract very likely just dropped down from when they got in. So for example, this Meta one has just been down since they entered, since it says days to high is only 2. If it's in this blue box means that there was an update within the last month. That's the condition I've set for it. So anytime that you see these numbers or see these dates, this is showing that within the last month, I've made an update to the prices that have shown up here. So you guys know, that just means that within this last month, we've seen higher highs for those option contracts. And it's important for us to understand there is still possibility for them to head higher, but they have most recently hit those highs in those dates. So quick review, just so you guys see, last month, our month of June, we've got 5 out of 6 prints here that were winners. If you do just go by a 0% threshold from, you could consider it 6 out of 6. So that's a 100% hit rate right there. but from our more strict standards that we have, that's 83%. 5 out of 6, pretty good. And what's even crazier is that on average, we're seeing a 81.37% return across those 6 option prints that we've seen. The big ones, ARKK, and for example, right now, just so you see, ARKK did go a bit higher. Since that, I did an update on I updated this one showing from the 24th. So you take a quick peek over at that. As of right now, the high that I've recorded for this says $5.55, up from $1.08. So we'll go in here, we'll take a peek over at this. I'm just going to look at the last 5 days and last 5 months, get a quick update on this, see. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here you can see 555, 535, 535. So nothing else to update on that. So that is going to hold for what we're looking at in terms of it. All right, let's go into some of the other numbers from before. The month before, month of May, we've got quite a few updates here. The most impressive ones you may see, we see this EWY print that had 373% return over the course of 39 days. We do have one update on here where it did go higher. Oh, I think I might have changed the color already. One of these went from a miss to a win. I'll have to double check as to which one exactly it was. I do believe it may be the Carvana or the SLV. Oh no, I think it was this QQQ because we did see more recent highs and all-time highs for our indices. Overall, 1, 2, 3 that are within that 15% threshold. This Tesla one was very close, but again, with those, the one on the side, meaning that it went the next day, hit that, and started to go down from that. So Tesla, this one, the equity itself is already down 15% since their entry there. MRK, Carvana, those ones, I mean, still 82% for MRK. That one's breaking out of a wedge, if you may consider. Doing pretty well right there. But the big ones you'll notice in this dark green are all over 100%. So for that month of May, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of them are above 100% return, with this one, EWY, being at a 373%. Hit rate overall for this month, 18 out of 23. 78.26% return, pretty crazy. 88% on average returns. And again, there's only BABA here that's missed, CDNS that's missed, and again, Tesla right now is down, but it did, had a 13% return before it dropped from that. All right, what else? This is the one that you guys may have seen. I did post this into our Discord. Let me show you guys real quick. In our Discord, I mentioned this after I did my back testing yesterday. And you'll see our April back testing report, meaning that all these prints came in the month of April. And we had 29 total trades alerted. 28 of them were winners, which is a 96.55% win rate. On average, 298% average return. So that's a 3x on average. 26 total trades of these are over 100%, and 24 of them had an update this month, the month of July, beginning of July. And here are some of our top performers, which I'm going to show you guys right now. So the two lowest ones, okay, obviously we do have this BABA miss, down 33% from it, but overall, Palantir and Silver were our two lowest ones, 48% and 85%. But take a look at all this dark green right here. All this dark green. So all of these ranging from just over 100% all the way up to a 10xer, 1,034 and 1,052% return for CORZ and for the SPY calls that came in. And thinking back about it, we had 29 of these prints come in the month of April, and that's when we basically had that dip. We had the tariff dip. We had two indications that actually I just saw. Not only did our president tell us that it's a good time to buy stocks in that month, but we also had, blanking right here. We had that famous, what's the reverse? Reverse Kramer. There we go. Kramer told us that there was more blood to come, and a lot of people believe whenever Kramer says something, you go the opposite of that. So ultimately, over this month, that's crazy. We have a 298%. 28 out of 29 of these went and were pretty solid wins, you may consider. You even see prints like AVGO here. We see 300% returns, 700% returns, 400% returns, 500% returns off of these. And keep in mind, if you go back to my previous back testing of these, there are a few of them where ultimately they were, they might have struggled a little bit at the beginning. So when Stacks AI tells us that they're getting into a position, generally over time, as you go on, you do see them start to win over time. Obviously, every now and then you'll see some of these ones that are losses, but overall we do have a pretty solid win rate when it comes to our algorithm and our AI picks from Stacks AI. If you guys, I know a couple of you guys that are watching have been a part of Stacks, have been getting into some of these positions. Let me know if you happen to get into any of these Stacks AI positions and have profited from them over time. Let's go a little bit further back. So it was back in April when we started to do the 15% threshold. I will give you an update because there are some of these that you'll see are considered to be a wash at this point. I'll give you a number at the end of this back testing to show you what those percentages actually will be. But here, Oracle 600%. We got AVGO here at 400, almost 500% return. Carvana at a flat 300%. So we do have quite a few of these from even previous months. This is the month of March where we're seeing, let's see here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of these of our 21 still went higher 4 or 5 months later. So keep that in mind. All right. Some of these just need a bit of time. The thing that you want to keep an eye out for is how long of time did they purchase? Did they purchase for months out or years out? They're very likely still in those positions. And something to consider too here. So for example, this Oracle position right now. Let me just show you. If I go and I'd go into the 6 month, you'll see this big spike right here. Okay. And you can double check this. 331. That's when they got into that position. That's where you're going to see that big volume spike. 1,271 is that volume here, and you can take a look over as to they purchased 1,250 of those contracts. So as we look into our open interest, is it possible that they're still in that position? Very likely. Is there the same volume bar being sold off along this way? No. So what that means to me is that there's a very good chance that they're still in this position, okay? And that's something to consider, that Oracle, they're still in that. So if you are still in this position, there's still potential hope for it to go higher. Now, my suggestion here, though, 600%, if that's what you're looking at, take some of your profits off the table. Take at least a portion of what you've got so that you'll secure some of those gains. And they do have until the January of 2026. So they've still got some time on that. So that's just a quick way for you to go through and take a look as to whether or not those positions still have that volume in there. Or open interest, should I say. Let's go a bit further back. Month of February. We got a miss on Apple here, a miss on Tesla, Meta, Tesla. Meta here's a wash, Nvidia's a wash. So you'll see, the thing I noticed here is those from February, because of the dip in April, a lot of them had quite a bit of their premium sapped from them. So you will notice there are still a few of these that are starting to make a comeback. coming back in this last month. For example, this Palantir one going higher 400%, TSM 100%, CAR 671%. So still quite a bit of returns from those. So we got 15 out of our 19 here for that month of February, 78% hit rate, with just under 100% for their average returns. Same idea, January. Now, if you see these where the grayed out expirations basically mean we're past those expiration dates, those are locked in as of now. This one, for example, BABA, is quite a bit up from where they entered still. They're still 34%, but while BABA hit the highs back in March, this one 3,300, almost 3,400, so a 34x return on that BABA position from that January. And so you have to keep that in mind. There are quite some impressive returns even from previous months. And what I like to think of now is, obviously it is now July, but these still lay a foundation for what they're considering and whether or not there still is hope for them to go higher. So for example, let's look at this Tesla one right here. While this one, very likely, I do believe this one's probably going to be down. Let's see if they got out is the question. So they got in January 30th. This one's probably going to be, yeah, it's hurting right now. But year to date, January 30th. Let's see if we see a bigger... I don't see a huge spike in here. 569, is it a big... Yeah, 500. So that's a smaller one to consider. That volume is going to be harder to tell. But there were continued... So for example, of this one, I'm going to take a look. February 12th, they got in. This one had a volume of 12,000 and this one volume of 15,000. There's a good chance somebody got in here and they decided to get themselves out on that spike. So use these volume bars on, whatever options tracker that you're using and looking at. You can get an idea of whether or not those they're still in those positions. This Tesla position's down quite a bit, but keep in mind, I track where the highs did go. So the highs did hit 54.20 back at the end of January, but remember that one just a day or two after it generally means that let's say here, they got in, it popped up just a little bit, and it's been down ever since. So every now and then we'll see some of those types of positions, and I think that's the risk that you're going to have to take when you do follow some of these blindly. There are times where they're going to pop the next day just a tiny little bit and they're going to drop from there. But for the ones that are going to be winners, we do tend to see some of them run to some pretty extreme levels. Our goal here with our Stacks AI backtesting is to be as transparent as possible and give you guys the data and the understanding of how to use our tools to benefit. We do have a couple of our traders in our Discord that have come up with some rules for themselves. For example, some of them are going in here. They're going to go buy some of these blindly. They're going to spend maybe $1,000 to $2,000 on those positions, and they're setting a stop loss and they're setting a take profit right away. So if it drops a certain percentage, they may consider getting into more options, or what they do is they get themselves out of that position right away. They're protecting their premium. On the other side is if it does go up. So for example, I know Dylan is doing a challenge, a 10K challenge for himself, where if it goes up 40%, he's going to get himself out of that position right away. And he's already set those sells for himself. So it's a get in as soon as Stacks AI alerts and get out as soon as it hits that threshold. And some people will do that with a certain percentage. So maybe they'll get out a certain amount of contracts at 25 or 50%, and then they're going to hold on to a few for those big runners. And again, you can come up with your own strategies. If you are watching right now and if you have a stack strategy, go ahead and share that with me. But again, it is one of those things where we're providing this tool for you guys. It's showing you guys and back testing these on a monthly basis so you can understand how to potentially use this for your profits and for your trading. I don't want to spend too much time on the previous ones. You'll see on the right side over here, there are a few that still get some updates where they are going higher. but a lot of these have already expired from last year. So I'm just going to get further down into some of the other numbers for you guys right away. Quick note as well, if I put these in yellow, yellow basically means that they went through some sort of split, so I had to do some additional calculations for some of these pricings. For example, NVIDIA, before they had their split, just making sure that we understand that some of these strike prices are going to be 10x of what they currently trade at, so we'll have to make our own calculations from there. All right, let's go down to the bottom. This is where we have our overall hit rates. I go over this every single month, update it. So you can see we have this all the way from the beginning, from the middle of 2023. Okay, so the days to high, you'll notice, especially when we go further back, almost 200 days till they hit their high, 150 days. That's the average days to hit the highs of where Stacks is, from when Stacks shouts it out to when the highs of those prints hit. We have a lot of these. 80% or higher is when it's going to get green. Underneath that is going to get these grays. But again, overall, our hit rate for this is a 91.71% hit rate. 386 total prints. 352 of them are winners with our setup. Now remember, I said that there was, after April, I started to do a 15% threshold. So I want to make sure that we go and understand that if I take away all the ones under 15% from before April, so from March all the way up to here, that's 32 of those prints are between 0 and 15%. And so overall, that does drop our hit rate to 82.9% if you're using 15% as a threshold overall. Two other worthy numbers to take note of. In 2024, only our hit rate was at 89.03%, average 218% on those returns. So for that year, overall, pretty solid numbers, right under 90% hit rate. And for 2025 so far, very similar to 89.47%, just a little bit off of that, with our averages being 184% return on those so far. So, just so you guys understand, and I want to make sure you guys get all that information. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them into the comments right now. I'll get to those as we go through here. But again, we do have Stacks AI. Let's switch over here to Stacks so you guys see. If you go and filter for our Stacks AI, just a little peek right here, the last couple days. Last week we've got Hims, Robinhood, and SPY that just came in. All right, especially here, I will point this out. When I see SPY being purchased for so far out, so here again, they're expecting a $750 strike for SPY about over a year from now. So these are those are considered leaps at this point. 5 million being spent on it, 7,000 contracts there. We're only trading at about 620 range, okay? And so they're expecting a 20% move on SPY in this next year. Is it possible? Yeah. And if I go take a look at the SPY purchases when it comes down to Stacks, they tend to be pretty solid. Generally have been winners according to my back testing. And one thing I will point out is there are so many possibilities for you to trade the indices. So SPY, QQQ, IWM, any ETF. You have your dailies, you've got your weeklies, you've got your monthlies. Why are they aiming for so far out? One of the things and one of the theories right now is that because we are in such a deficit, we're paying so much in terms of our interest for our national deficit, trillions and trillions of dollars, that history has shown where nations that are stuck in this debt spiral, the best way for them to get out of it is to print more money. And by printing more money, it's going to lead into a situation where they're actually going to end up inflating prices a bit higher. Jenny just asked, how can you tell which are the fat pitches you should swing for or buy more, or do you just buy equal amount across all of Stacks AI Alert, or same number of contracts? What I would say for that type of approach is take a look at that open interest. You want to know whether or not the people that are in those positions, just like I showed you earlier, go take a look at that volume bar. See if that whale has potentially gotten themselves out of that position. If the open interest is still extremely high and is much higher than the number of contracts that were purchased for that Stacks AI print, I would consider possibly averaging down at a certain level. So some people say 35 to 40%, go ahead, average down. Or some people even will wait a little bit longer. So you have two choices. Protect your premium, get yourself out so that you protect how much money that you still have, and just move on to the next Stacks AI or move on to the next trade that you have. That's one way to deal with it. The other one is to have a set plan ahead of time that if it does go down to 35 or 40%, I'm going to go buy the same amount of I would suggest buying the same amount of premium, not the same amount of contracts, because if you just buy, let's say you got one contract and it goes down by 40% and you end up buying just one contract again, yeah, it averages out. It does average down a bit, but it'd be better if, let's say, you bought $1,000 worth of contracts and then it goes down 40% and you buy another $1,000 worth of contracts. That averaging down is going to be a little bit more effective when the price does go back up for you. Okay, but still, with those types of positions, make sure that you are ready, that if it does go further down from where that is, that you're ready to get out at a certain predetermined level. Always go into these things with a plan beforehand, instead of just saying, hey, I'm just going to watch it where it goes, and not having a plan. More than likely you end up in a situation where you either get a little bit more greedy or a little bit more fearful than you should have, and you let your emotions make those decisions, which is always going to end up end up poorly for those traders that do it that way. So let me double check. Check if Max is still going to join us or not. Let's see. I will share real quick because I know Max had a comment yesterday about Delta Airlines. Okay. So his thoughts on Delta Airlines: always mixed but not sure, because travel is down in our last PCE report, which shows people aren't taking trips. However, costs for flying have come down, so it could beat the outlook. It could be iffy, especially with tariffs. With the state of consumer spending, consumer-driven companies can get destroyed for outlook. From what I was reading last night, they're calling 2025 a lost cause, but when I look at their balance sheet and numbers year over year, things have improved considerably. So definitely with that, with Delta Airlines, what you're playing there is whether or not you believe that the cheaper flights may give us a beat in earnings and is going to push, and their outlook for flying and for people taking trips is going to help push the stock price up if it's going to bring it up above that flag. Otherwise, you will have to consider too, because there is such negativity, right? People are fearful. People are looking at the situation where, the stock price is beaten down, and people, you know, all this information is out there, so there is going to already be a bit of it priced in. So consider that. I would say the big money, the millions of dollars being spent on Delta Airlines, those calls that we saw earlier, you know, they're not expecting that $6 or $7 million they spent to go to zero. So keep an eye out to see if they got out of those positions before earnings. I know that the two unusual prints that came in for Delta Airlines, that's where it brings a little bit more of a question to my mind. Johan says, thoughts on those 77 LLY prints. So Eli Lilly, yes, we did see some LLY prints come in yesterday. This one stuck out to me, 16 mil being spent on these for August. And then we also just saw a little bit more purchasing for 2 weeks from now, possibly adding to this position down here. Okay. So yes, this 83 cents they got in yesterday, it's down to 40 cents right now. Oh no, sorry, that's 950, 960. So, but it is probably down at this point. I will point out for Eli Lilly, switch over. If you just look at what happened today, some of those made some money right away this morning. So this position from yesterday where they got in, let me double check what time they got it at, 7:10 a.m. So they got in the morning around here. You saw a huge pump this morning, and those were probably up quite a bit. I saw somebody post in the Discord how they were up about 70% on some of those positions. But what happened here, this huge drop here, I do believe President Trump mentioned something about 200% tariffs on pharmaceuticals, and that's what caused this huge sell-off at about 9 to 10 o'clock. Okay, I mean, again, 2%, 3%. So my thoughts on those, I don't think they purchased that with an intent of losing their money, 16 mil, okay? So if I look at the big picture, are they primed for a pump? Are they primed and ready to head up further? If I look at the big picture, we're at this top, and we are seeing a bit of a flag pattern that exists right here. So is it possible for Eli Lilly to hit close to 900 again? Yeah, and we've seen that most recently too. April had that drop, went back up. Okay, pharmaceuticals, and also on the inside of this too, I know they charted this out in our Discord, is we're seeing this bit of a flag appear inside this too. So overall, and with the amount of time that they purchased, is still fairly short term, right? So here, 718, 815, so not a lot of time. And here they've spent 16, 17, 18 million dollars. This all came in at the same time. So my expectation with this is, like I said, go look at that open interest. If that OI still shows the 20K and the 10K right there, it's very likely they're still in there. So let's actually do that for you guys here. I'm going to, let me pull up. We'll just do that together right now. Okay. So LLY, Eli Lilly. We're going to go in here under options. Let's take a look at both of those. So we're going to go to the strike price. Let's look at this one. Let's double check which one they purchased. 960. So we got to go down here, all the way down here. 960. Click on that one. 960. Okay, so this one's hurting. Down to 2. Oh, there we go. Let me refresh that. Okay. This one's hurting. Yeah. Let's take a look. They got in at 83 cents. Oof. Okay, 83 cents. So yesterday, hold on. Something's not right. Did I click the right one? 718.25, 960. That's not right. June, July, yeah, July 18th, 25. We're looking at 960. Yeah, it's down quite a bit today. Open interest still at 682. Yeah, this one right here. Oh, hold on. Oh, this is for 815. 850. So those ones are still out there. So these ones, so it's possible they got out of one of them already. This one's also down quite a bit too. 815. I'm gonna pull up my Webull. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm just setting this up so we can check it on Webull. Okay, there we go. Let me show you guys here. Okay, so I've got Webull up. We're looking at LLY, Eli Lilly. July 18th, 2025. We're looking at 950, right? Let me see real quick. Okay. So yeah, yesterday it did get in right here, right? You see this big giant volume spike Yeah, 20,000. But if I go back to this, yeah, their open interest, they're still in that 14,000 contracts right there. Okay, so those are down pretty significantly. Now my question here would be, are they playing that? Are they playing the tariff news? Are they expecting that this? Okay, number one, they're going to announce this potential 200% on pharmaceuticals, and then nothing's going to come out of it, and then it's going to push price up. So, if you're in this position, if unfortunately you got into it yesterday, there's a possibility that, yeah, you're hurting right now. And if you don't average down, that premium's just gone. Now this other one, the one that they purchased for a little bit more time, that one's at what, $3.45. What they get in under? There's $16.35. So ooh, that one's hurting too. Let's see. View the chart. What happened yesterday? Now here's the thing with that one. I see this volume spike. Let me make sure you guys can see it. Okay. There's this volume spike right here, but then there's the same volume spike right after it. There's the buy and then the sell. So it's possible they got in and then got out of it right away. But the issue that I see here, though, is that that's not at the price that we saw on Stacks. Stacks said they got in at... Oh, hold on. That's my fault. I'm $100 higher than where it should be. Yeah, let's go fix that. 850. There we go. Okay. Actually, they're doing fine on this one. So the 815 ones are definitely doing a lot better, especially with the spike that we saw today. So that, yeah, okay. So they got in down here, 14. It's up at this point, that one. Okay. Now the issue with the 960 for this week, now I think about it, that one's just so cheap to start off with. They're expecting the push right away. Yeah, 25%. Here, let me give you guys this again. So you got to take a look at the difference between these two positions, okay? This one being $16 per contract versus this one 83 cents per contract. Now the fact that they spent over a mil on this one is saying something's going to happen right away. So this one you would have had to play that push overnight or that push this morning and have gotten out. It's very possible one of the guys in our Discord said they got 70%. That's very likely this type of position. This other one, because it's so expensive, I'm expecting this one's up at this point, even though Eli Lilly I think is down today. Let's see what today was. Well, it's up a little bit today, not a ton, right? So it's still up today, but not nearly as much as it was earlier. Now here's another thing to consider too. If those tariffs really were going to make a big impact and to drop price, I would have expected this to break down below previous supports. So it dropped and then came right back up. So they very likely took some of that liquidity. This news was meant to strike fear, and as of right now, there is a very good possibility we will see Eli Lilly with additional news head up further. So my prediction is that we're gonna hear like 200% on pharmaceuticals, dude. Like that's gonna mess up so much stuff. So it's more, I believe, more of it's just talk at this point. 200% probably not. Like we said earlier, there was some ridiculous numbers that were thrown out when the tariff news first hit, and maybe it is his idea of the art of the deal, but very likely is I would expect, yeah, there's still probably going to be some tariffs, but now that we've thrown 200 out there, any number well below that's going to look like good news to the market. So we'll probably see this pump further up in time. Okay. Okay. Was there anything else that you guys want me to take a look at? Any of you guys still in here? I know we will still do our Wednesday closing bell show tomorrow, so you guys can get additional information. We're gonna go over some more stuff too. But like I said, earnings isn't anything crazy right now. We do have Delta was the one that we talked about. Levi's, I'll pull that up right now just so we can see it. Levi's. Chart looks strong overall. What's it at overall in the big picture? Kind of just chops around. It is breaking up above previous resistances. We could maybe see it above 20 pretty soon. But it's not exactly a big name to consider is my thing. Let's take a look at what Stacks says. Yeah, nothing major to look at. Nothing huge to look at. So I usually stay away from these names if I don't see additional confluence on those positions. So let's just kind of do a quick review of what came in at the end of today, and I'll go over Flow Scanner as well. Today at the close we saw some IWM puts but nothing major. Tesla puts came in. There's a bunch of bad news headed toward Tesla right now, so you got to consider, is the news all priced in, or are we going to see it continue to bleed out? Yeah, we saw somebody mentioned Unities. Yeah, a lot of unusual stuff coming in for this. That would actually be a decent position to take a look at. Look at all this 718, 718, 120, 116, 26. So next year we got one put in here, but if you take a look at the last, yeah, let's peek over at you. I know somebody mentioned that earlier. So the thing with you, I've already pointed out, and I've had this on my chart for a while. You guys that have been watching my show, that have been with me in the Discord, understand this Wyckoff accumulation type of chart. And it's looking like we're going through this. We just went through the spring down here, popped up. I know we already profited from you a while back when it broke through this previous resistance. So yeah, I definitely think this is a Wyckoff chart. I would say those January calls look pretty good. The fact that they're getting into so much that is just in 2 weeks, that's another thing to consider. Very likely will break above this $30.64, this previous resistance that we had. It's looking pretty strong at this point in terms of it additional uptick. So yeah, we had this broke above, came back down, retested again, went higher, had basically another retest over here. So are we headed up further? Is this the time to buy? So down the line, will we see above that 48, 49 position and above 50? We do have insiders selling, but that's not always the most. $1 million there. Equal weight by Wells Fargo. $15 a share is the target for some. So I'm looking at it as more of a accumulation type of situation, especially with all this volume coming in here at this bottom. So with that being said, what would I look at? I'll probably look into it since it's already past close. We'll take a look at it tomorrow. 718, $35. I like this more. 116.47 strike. It's probably going to be a little bit more than $2 at this point. Let's pull up. Let's pull up and take a look at that option. So the first ones are these ones that they got into. What was the strike? 35. 35. These are up 15 cents each. So they got in at 47. So this is up just a tiny little bit. So they're up a little bit right now. This is worth taking a look at if you want. But this is going to be, I would say this one, you got to have a push in this next week or so. Otherwise, it's going to eat away at it quick. It's out of the money. It is very short term. So this is a higher risk type of position. If I take a look back at, where is it? Come on, load. Oh, too far down. Okay. Let's look at the ones for there we go. Look at them for January 2026. What was their strike price? $47. Yeah, dark silver, I would say the thing about this market that we're in right now is the crazy part is that a tweet can change everything right away. We've seen it enough so far, but it is a situation where if you're looking at, I would say if you're looking at over 50% returns, take your profits. Don't sit in it. I mean, yes, if you see additional information come in, you see additional buying of that equity, buying of that option price. But again, we saw that big dump just because we saw a tweet come in, right? This one for strike price of 47 for January 2026. They got in at $2. It's already up, what, 19% right now, so 238, 237. I'm expecting that it's still going to go up further. Open interest, we'll see if this number ticks up tomorrow because we just saw those come in today. That's what I would keep an eye on. But definitely the flow for a Unity has definitely raises an eyebrow, definitely makes me interested. I'll probably, if I do get into something with it tomorrow, I'll let you guys know in the Discord. Just because again, all this coming in is confidence right there. 708, all these guys, 100K, 100K, 300, 400K, 400K, they're not expecting that to go to zero. They don't want that. And the other side of it is, so take a look over at all of these emojis. In the money is safer, okay? So they could buy that equity. This basically says there's probably going to be a floor at that $28 range. It is already close to 30, but they're expecting that they can be safe with it and it wouldn't go below 28 is what this says. The $30 ones, those are out the money, but if they're purchasing for 718, we could definitely see that push. It's only what, 4 to 5%, 2% in this case by 11 o'clock. Now, the ones for next year, 119% push, 62% push. So they're not purchasing those expecting their 100K, 60K, 500K in this situation to go down to zero. So they probably have some information and an idea of what's probably going to happen with it. Let me reset my grid. Let's just talk real quick about Flow Scanner, and then we'll end off with that today. This one, LLY, was the one I pointed out. This was in my channel yesterday in the Discord too. 19 mil to 0. So again, there's still time for a lot of that. So if you have a chance to get in at those better prices, I would even say take a look at that chart, what my analysis is, if you're willing to take that type of a risk with it. Pharmaceuticals, I guess, right now are going to be a bit of the conversation when it comes down to those tariffs. Amazon, pretty bullish. IWM, on the bullish side. Same with Nvidia, but those are not, from what we've seen before, not nearly as bullish as it could be. SPY is definitely leaning toward that bearish end. But let's go ahead and just take a look as to today, because we're going to take away what Monday. IWM becomes much more bullish for just today. Amazon, extremely. We got Prime Day coming up, so Amazon for sure. MSTR, MicroStrategy. We've seen a lot of this. MicroStrategy's had quite a bit, and there is a lot of talk about how the push for the Bitcoin cycle is coming up soon. AMD, Meta, Uber, IBIT, which is a Bitcoin ETF, GLD, and you got your Unity U right here for 2 mil versus the 380K, but again, 4 of those. We can always go filter to see what the biggest frequencies are. Nvidia, QQQ, IWM, SPY, AMD. Oh, we also saw a push on Intel today too, so keep that in mind. Yeah, quite a bit of buying for Intel today. Intel pushed up higher. One big money put that did come in. But that would be another one I would put on the watch list for upcoming Intel. All right. I know Max didn't join us today. He'll join us tomorrow. Don't worry about that. I will see him tomorrow. Make sure you guys join us tomorrow. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that as soon as we go live tomorrow, you guys will be notified. Push notification to your phone, to your computer, whatever it is that you guys use. If you are interested, as of right now, we do have a annual code for July. If you want to subscribe for a year, you can get 25% off our subscription price. Drops it quite a bit for you, makes it much more of a deal. That way you can go and use stacks, get an idea of what it is that is going on, do your own analysis, join the conversation. Keep in mind, it also gives you access in the Discord to quite a bit of our channels. Not everything that's there in our Discord, that is a separate subscription, but a lot of where the bulk of the conversation's happening. So our main chat, you'll get Max's channel, the TG Trades and Gains. You'll get stacks. Oh, did my AirPods just went out. Oh, you guys can still hear me. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate, let us know. You can always go to and email us at questions email your questions at help@investorcentralclub.com. We're always here to help you guys out and let you guys know what's going on. Well, with that being said, this is Eric here with Investor Central Club. Keep an eye out on all of our social media. We've got some PDFs we've put together where you guys can get some downloads, some free downloads from us, some strategy, technical type of documents that will help you guys with your trading. So keep an eye out for that. We're doing that very soon. You're very welcome, you guys. Have a great rest of your night, great rest of your day. I will see you guys tomorrow for additional analysis and additional conversation on the markets. See ya.